Theo Venter from the Northwest University Business School. I'm a policy and a risk analyst at the business school, and you are watching Risk Africa TV. Yes, I use the VUCA terminology now. Now, the interesting thing about VUCA is it's a term that we borrowed from the military. What happened in the early 90s when the Americans first invaded Iraq, they realized that they had the best equipment in the world, they had the best prepared soldiers, so they thought, they had the best aeroplanes, they had the best machine guns, but nothing worked in the desert. And out of that, in talking about this first invasion, the term VUCA emerged, where the guy said, we actually entered this country in a cloud of uncertainty. We had a difficulty with a political mandate. We had a difficulty with weapons of mass destruction. That was the word of the time. Eventually, none of these things emerged, and it's out of that. And I applied that little acronym to South Africa, because if you look at VUCA, the first word, of course, is volatile. There's no better illustration than the rand at the moment, moving up and down. The second part of VUCA is uncertainty. You only have to look at government policy. You only have to look at where are we going currently. Are we in the long game with Cyril, or are we in the short game? Are we in leadership or out of leadership? It's uncertain. The third one is complexity. What the Americans discovered in Iraq in the 90s was that politics and religion are singular. They're an extension of each other. In America, it's two separate sectors, it's two separate entities. So suddenly they had to make war among the Muslim, where the religious leaders played a political role, which of course they didn't know how to deal with. So that's the complexity. In South Africa, we've got this situation that some things can be right and wrong at the same time. And the last one is ambiguity, and that is where fake news and which message is really the true one. Are there two stories? So South Africa is just a wonderful example currently of VUCA, and my message to my audience today was, this is the new normal. Get used to it. Make uncertainty your friend, if you want to use a simple term. I referred to the EFF, and I said, if you're in the engineering sciences, I'm from a university, so if you're in the engineering sciences, the big search in engineering is the drive for efficiency. Which fuel is the most efficient and which design. But I said in politics, we actually have a wonderful design for them. We've got a small political party called the EFF. They represent 6% of the national interest in Parliament in the previous election. But they command 80% of the daily news. And I said that is a new definition of efficiency. Having 6% support, commanding 80% of the attention.
You went on following VUCA. You then you had I'm not sure if it was the next step of VUCA, which was tuna.
Yeah.
Maybe
VUCA is the original term, and then some guys started researching, and they took the V, the volatile, away, and they replaced that with a T, turbulence, because volatile or volatility is typically what a gas does. It is almost chaotic in its expansion. Turbulence is, I think, what we experience sometimes with new technology, and how the new technology changes our, like cell phones, like the social media and several other things, or the Internet of Things, determining everything really that has got Bluetooth in it or whatever other mechanism. So that turbulence creates the same kind of situation in that acronym. And the other thing they did with the tuna, they replaced the N, and that the uncertainty, they replaced that with novelty. Now novelty is also an interesting term, because newness of things, and how to get used to it, how to implement things. And I think in the industry that we spoke to today, the industry, the insurance industry, there's a lot of novelty, there's a lot of new products, there's a lot of new things that they have to do, a lot of regulations which kind of act as novelty and as a disruptor. Which if VUCA is the new normal, if that is the situation that we have to get used to, then there are certain things that must be in your little, let's call it your management toolbox, things that you must apply your mind to. The one is agility. That means you must have an ability to deal with things in a quick way. The second one is resilience. You must invest in a way to bounce back. The third thing that you must have in that toolbox is the ability to do research, to read, to keep up to date with things. Then there's also an investment in simplicity. I know things are complex, but you need to find out what works in your industry, what works for you. You can't challenge the world with a complex kind of argument. Like most of us in my field, I must be honest, we usually start the answer saying it's a very complicated situation. Well, that's not an answer. It's kind of an opting out sometimes. So you need that simplicity. And on the value level, I also indicated that you must know your values. Where are you going? And then the most important part is your vision and the ability to communicate and to say things and to continue saying things. I think the role of leadership in the VUCA environment is a changed kind of leadership. Leadership must now increase the ability to communicate where we're going, more than managing on a day-to-day basis or whatever. People can do that, but leaders must play a much more important role in guiding people where to go, showing the example, doing the right things. Well, I would say it's time in these volatile environments that we're in, not only globally, because I haven't even expanded my talk to include Trump, because that becomes a story on its own. But if we take South Africa and we place South Africa in a global context, I think it's time to invest in some serious thinking about scenarios. Where are we going? Because scenarios are those intellectual exercises that one creates about possible futures. And the advantage of developing a scenario for a leader is that you almost create a future history. You think about where you're going. Once you have those areas plotted, you can track back to where we are now, and you can kind of develop a feel for where we're going. You'll never be absolutely right, because that's the one thing about scenarios, they're probably never right. But at least you went through the intellectual and the management exercise and the leadership exercise to think about possibilities where we're going.